Hey there, guys. I am Priscilla, dietitian with Baby to Table Nutrition, and I help parents feed their little ones, specifically babies and toddlers. And every Tuesday, I show up here in your screen to share with you a little tip to help you continue to feed your little one and feed with confidence and with joy. So, today I want to talk to you about a very popular phrase that I see floating around, especially on Facebook groups or forums for parents and things like that. So it's the phrase, food before one is just for fun. You probably have heard that phrase before, especially if you're already, start solids with your baby, or if you're about to start solids. And I want to tell you that this phrase is not 100% true. About the spirit behind that phrase, the idea that, food before one should be fun, always, not just before one, beyond 1 year old, should be fun, should be enjoyable. You should not be anxious or worry about every single bite that your baby eats day in and day out. However, sometimes that phrase can be taken a little bit far by parents, and it might make them think that they don't need to worry about introduce a variety of foods, making sure that they have a feeding schedule for their babies, exposing baby to different textures and textures. Also might make them think that, if baby's just on breast milk and formula and not really getting any solid until one, that they don't need to maybe look for help or evaluation from healthcare provider just to make sure the baby is okay, that there is no underlying issue that is avoiding their babies to start actually eating solids. And so I also want to give you a few reasons why food before one is not just for fun. So the first one is that food before one is for additional nutrients and energy. So when babies are around 6 months of age, the stores that they have of some minerals, some nutrients, they start to get depleted. And at the breast milk and formula have everything that they need until 6 months. Past 6 months, just breast milk and formula is not going to be enough to replenish those stores, replenish those nutrients. So they need to start getting solid foods, which in combination with breast milk or formula will provide everything that they need. So food before one is for additional nutrients and energy, that way avoiding nutritional deficiencies and avoiding that your baby will get at a weight that is not healthy. They'll be underweight. So that's the first reason. Also, food before one is for expanding baby's diet, is to add new textures, new flavors, new types of food. And we know today by research that the foods that we learn to eat before the age 2 are actually the foods that we tend to eat later on in life. So exposing a baby to different textures, different types of food before one actually can help decrease the chances of developing, become a pick eater once baby becomes a toddler, which we know that toddler years are very, for a lot of kids, are very selective age when it comes to food. So it's not necessarily that you're not going to encounter some fussy eating or maybe having some issues like that, but by exposing your baby to a wide variety of foods, you reduce the risk for that. And even if baby are being selective, it's just kind of a slow phase and not something that keeps going as your child grows older. So food before one is also for expanding baby's diet and reducing risk for picky eating. Food before one is also for practice of skills. Very important skills for babies' independence late in life, like the pincer grasp, hand and eye coordination. When baby's grabbing food from tray or plate and bring to the mouth, they are working that hand eye coordination, and so many other skills that are important, not just for baby to learn how to eat efficiently and safely after they are 1 year old, but those skills are also important for other activities that they're going to be doing as they get older, like putting the clothes on themselves, talking, the speech production, the muscles that they are using to eat are so important for speech production, and so many other skills that are important for their independence later in life. So food before 1 is for practice of important skills for baby independence later in life, and that way we would reduce the risk for motor or sensory issues that baby could develop later in life. And lastly, food before 1 is for exposure to allergenic food allergens or allergenic foods. So the latest recommendations from the American Academy of Pediatrics, based on very on very up-to-date studies, is to introduce allergenic foods, to introduce food allergens early to baby, as early as 4 to 6 months old. As soon as you start solid, as soon as baby 6 months and starting signs of readiness for solids, you should be including food allergens. Once you have introduced some of the low-risk foods, a couple of those foods, you can start introduce allergenic foods. And the reason for that, the reason why the recommendations have changed is because those studies, they have shown that delaying the introduction of allergenic foods is actually not going to reduce a child's risk for developing food allergies later in life, or as a baby. And also, those studies have shown that introducing early and maintaining baby's diet, offering often once you have introduced, actually can help reduce the risk for food allergies later in life. So the new recommendation is to introduce early and starting before 1. So food before 1 is for exposure to food allergens, and therefore reducing the risk of preventing food allergies as your baby grows older. So this is kind of my opinion here, my reasons why food before 1 is not just for fun. And I just want to let you know that for sure, food should be fun. Eating with your baby, for your baby, should always be fun. Should be experience that they're exploring, that you are not anxious or stressed about every single bite that your baby is eating. But slowly, gradually, you should see your baby transitioning from milk or formula and getting more and more solids, especially when baby's 9 or 10 months, that should shift, and your baby should start relying more in solids and less in breast milk or formula. And by 1, then they should be getting the 3 meals a day and also snacks. So you should see that that gradually, and each baby is going to be different, but you should see that change over time. Now, if your baby is 7 or 8 months old and you're still not really, getting any finger foods and not even accepting periods that you feed, by the spoon, I would highly recommend, especially for a baby that is 9 or 10 months, to get an evaluation for a healthcare provider, a speech therapist or occupational therapist or another type of feeding therapist, just to make sure. I'm not saying that your baby has any issues, that you need to be, so worried about that your baby has some health issues. But I think that for babies that are 9, 10 months old and they still not really eating much solids, it's good to have an evaluation just to make sure that everything is fine, that they are developing fine. I don't know about you, but I prefer to be safe than sorry. So so that's my spiel about food before 1. It is more than just for fun. It's definitely for fun. It's definitely should be enjoyable, but it's way more than just for fun. So I'll be back next week for another Tuesday tip. If you have any questions about what I shared today, just let me know in the comments. Also, let me know in the comments that you're watching this video. And I'm so glad you joined today and you're watching this video. And I will see you next week for another tip. Okay? Bye-bye. Have a nice rest of your week.